Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll give it just a couple minutes for everyone to get settled. So welcome everyone, and thank you all for joining us for tonight's event. My name is Katie Porter, and I'm Executive Director of Inlandia Institute, a literary and cultural arts nonprofit based in inland Southern California. Before we begin, Inlandia Institute respectfully acknowledges and recognizes our responsibility to the original and current caretakers of this land, water, and air, the Cahuilla, Tongva, Luiseno, and Serrano peoples, and all of their ancestors and descendants, past, present, and future. Today, the Inlandia region is home to many indigenous peoples from all over the world, and we express our gratitude to them for allowing us the opportunity to live and work on these homelands. Tonight, we bring you an African American Book Festival Inland Empire Showcase. This event is part of the Blacklandia series curated by Inlandia's Black Voices Steering Committee by and for Inlandia's Black community members. Here tonight on behalf of the AABFIE is Ginger Galloway, who is going to introduce you to some of the authors. She is the founder of the African American Book Festival Inland Empire, and she has been partnering with Women Achieving Success and hosting this festival since 2019. With a passion for reading and the love of literary arts, Ginger believes that by introducing authors to the community in an intimate setting encourages aspiring writers and reluctant readers alike. So welcome, Ginger.
Thank you, Katie. I am so excited about tonight. Let's see. All kind of stuff going on the screen. I'm very, very excited, you guys. We were not able to do a in-person book festival so far for 20. Actually, it should have been this month. We're pushing forward. We're holding off until they open venues because we want to be in person. We want you to come out, touch the books, touch the authors, read the books, see the books. We're excited about what the future has for us, and we are not letting a pandemic stop us. The African American Book Festival Inland Empire is more than a venue to sell books. It's a movement in the Inland Empire. It's a benchmark for culture, inclusivity, and most of all, a rekindling of the love for reading and literary arts. It's a venue to encourage the community to come out and meet Black writers and to become engaged. When we build personal relationships, we are inclined to know more about people, who they are, and what they do. AABFIE is a venue to encourage writing and exploration of the literary arts as a career. AABFIE is about unity, inviting the community to get up close and personal to a culture of writing and writers that is deeply rooted in faith, history, passion, drive, and unrelenting talent. Tonight, I have 5 authors that have participated in the book festival in prior years. Tonight, you're going to meet Monica Woodruff, Dr. Dwayne Shiggs, James Coates, Omobola Imoilisi, and James Harris. And I am so excited to talk with them, and you guys get to meet them at the end of the night. We're going to have a Q&A. So if you have questions, hit the Q&A button, type your question in there, and we'll address the questions at the end. So I think we have a little video right here. I think.
Hang on a sec while I pull that up. I do have it handy. Let's see.
Awesome. So that's some more of the authors that have participated in past book festivals. In the past, we've usually had about 30 authors show up. So to have this intimate setting with these five is really a treat. Just want to put a footnote on everything. We partner with Families Achieving Success. You can find them on the internet under fastogether.com. So to know more about that organization and what they're doing in the community, please go to that website and check them out. Our first author tonight is Monica Woodruff. I'm going to have her come on, and shy of me introducing them, I'm going to let the authors introduce themselves. So give us a brief bio of yourself, Monica.
Okay, a brief bio. Where do I start? Actually, I'm a retired sheriff. I did 20 years with San Diego County Sheriffs and currently working as a therapist. Basically, my base is military. I work with the military. I have a heart for the military people, and they really need a lot of help. So that's my main focus is military right now. I'm a mother of 3, been married over 40 years, and have a lot of experience in life that I can put in books, and that's what I'm doing right now.
That's awesome. Um, what inspires you? I think you kind of talked about it a little bit, but what is your why to why you got into writing books? Because I know that you're also a marriage and family therapist, correct? Yeah. So why the books? Why that layer?
Well, I wrote the books because when it came to therapy, I couldn't find anything that that I was in. All of the faces I saw didn't include me. Some of the things I was going through in life didn't include me. So I had to write something for all Black women, and we are out there wearing these superwoman capes, and we got to stop.
Have recent events, political, social, or pandemic, affected your writing?
What it has made me do is write even more. I journal every day. That's one of the things that actually helped me start putting those journals together into book form. You
Mhm.
write a little bit every day, and the next thing you know, you have a book. That's how I did my Superwoman syndrome. I kept writing things down after I went to my doctor, and she told me, she said, you need to take off your Superwoman cape. And I was like, that sounds like a good book. So that's what got me started.
And there's your book cover. Isn't that lovely? Tell
Yeah.
us about the author. I mean, the artist. Tell us about your illustrator.
The illustrator is actually one of my friends who did. Her name is Angela Nixon. Because I told her what I wanted. I said, I want us to bust out these phone booths and take off our Superwoman capes and start taking better care of ourselves as Black women, because we were raised to take care of everybody else, but I don't ever remember my mother teaching me how to take care of myself.
Mm, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and after your doctor tells you, if you don't stop living the way you're going to do, and your friend's going to be coming to your funeral. So
Hmm.
that was another indication that I needed to slow down and take better care of myself, and practice mindfulness, and not letting and learn how to say no.
Hmm.
That was
Yeah, that's hard for us, isn't it?
hard, but saying no was very easy to me now.
Yeah, that's good. It's good that you're infusing your clinical practice into your books.
Right.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Why is it important that people know that you're a writer of color?
Being a woman of color, I think I will speak to women of color, because just like I said, when I was looking for a book, there wasn't anything out there. And I'm living a true experience. And what I put in that book is a lot of what I have witnessed myself over the years, and what I've
Hmm.
been through myself. Because just about all my friends, we could sit down and literally tell the same story about being exhausted all
Hmm.
the time. I was working 12-hour shifts, going to San Diego State, working, taking 17 units, and I'm just thinking, oh, I graduated and everything, but after I graduated, I had a slight heart attack.
Hmm. Wow.
So when that happened, thank God, I just went to the hospital, because I didn't feel right, and my doctor said, you got here just in time, and it's like, and that's when she told me to take off my Superwoman cape, and I took it off. Matter of fact, I burned it.
Mhm. What does your voice mean?
I think my voice means everything, because my voice is truth. When I tell you I went through something in this book, I went through something in the book. And the tools that I'm putting in this book are something I think we can all use. But like I was saying, mom didn't teach me how to take care of myself, but she taught me how to take care of everybody else. So what I would love to do is to teach, especially Black women, to take better care of themselves. Because when something happens to us, who is there to take care of us?
Hmm.
We're
You talk
usually there
about,
by ourselves.
yeah. You talk about your mom and what she didn't prepare you for, or what she didn't give you. Um, if you were able to talk to the young Monica, the teenage Monica, the junior high school Monica, what would you tell her?
I would tell her to stop saying yes to everybody, exercise more, start taking better care of yourself, and eat better, and get out the abusive relationship she was in.
Mm, wow.
because I grew up in one of those abusive homes, and just witnessing the things, it was taxing on me. So I can only imagine on her. But my mother died at 66 because of all of her trauma that she went through, and she just never left, and never felt like she could take care of herself. There was just something about her just not wanting to leave, and um, have the confidence to leave, the confidence to get out and do things on her own. But me writing a book, I'm the first one in the family who ever even thought about writing a book.
Mm-hmm. If you could talk to these super women, which you're doing in your books, but today, the super women who are watching today, in one sentence, what's the most important thing that they need to know?
When you go to bed at night, go in the mirror and look at yourself. If you look tired, that means you're doing too much. If you see those circles underneath your eyes and you can barely get into your bed, you're going to have to learn how to say no. Learn how to say no and mean it.
Mm. Tell us where we can find your book. Well, tell me where we can find your books, but I need you to also tell us what kind of books do you write? What are we looking for?
Okay, I actually have this Black Superwoman book, and then I also have a Doodle and Write, which is a coloring book and a journal. And within the coloring book, there also is hints in there. You color, and I put different mindfulness things in there. So as you color, you have to write, and you have to. It's my way of telling people you need to take care of yourself, because when you start coloring mandalas and going through this book, you realize that, you know what, this is getting my mind off of everything that I thought I was supposed to
Mm-hmm.
do, and it's taking it and I'm putting it in this book. But I also have another book I
Mm-hmm.
just completed, which was Grieving While Black, and I haven't finished it yet. I'm putting my
Wow.
finishing touches on that, and that has to do with all the stuff we just went through with the George Flood and all those different things, and how we grieve as a culture. And that took a long time for me to sit down and do that, but I finally finished it. So now I have to sit down, have to read it over and over again and send it to somebody else so
Mm-hmm.
they can read it, and somebody else can read it.
Yeah.
So that's the process I'm going through right now.
I wrote down, um, I have to, I use the journal so that I can get my mind off of everything I thought I was supposed to do. That's poignant. Although that list of things is what you think you have to do,
Mhm.
but really it is important that you put yourself on your list, right? And I think that's what you're talking about. The superwoman doesn't have her name on the list.
Right. We
Yeah.
have everybody's name, because I remember doing that myself. I had a list, and it's like I gotta go grocery shop, and I'm like, where is something for me? I don't have time for the gym on there. I don't have time to go to the beach and stare at the water and do nothing. I had none of that on there. That's how I
Hmm.
had that slight heart attack. So I'm not going out
Yeah.
like that again. I'm sorry. I'm over it.
Yeah.
I burned
Yeah.
my date.
That's wonderful. Can you read us a little excerpt from Superwoman?
I sure will. I'll read the beginning portion. It says, Black women are known for their ability to survive. As a result, they experience high rates of adverse health conditions such as cardiovascular disease, obesity, lupus, and undiagnosed mental health disorders. These conditions may be a result of how Black women cope with the stress that life and the necessity of wearing multiple hats in the family. This is called the Superwoman syndrome and is killing more Black women presently than ever. Often being told how strong they are and the ability to handle many tasks often brings them to a breaking point. Suffering in silence is a coping skill that has been used for many generations and is no longer working. Life experiences of Black women have included an accumulation of racial inequality, social, political, and economic exclusion, and medical underservice of Black women has led to premature mortality. It's time to re examine the myth of the superwoman. This concept was developed in order to counteract the negative image of Black women taking on the roles of mother, father, and breadwinner out of economic and social necessity. In so many words, being a superwoman has become a societal norm in order to provide financial support to families due to Black men and their limited ability to provide economical and emotional support to their families. That's all I'm going to read.
Wow. Wow. All right. So where can we get your books?
Well, as soon as it comes out on Amazon, matter of fact, I just uploaded it yesterday and I have to get it approved. So
Okay.
far it's just on Amazon, and I'm looking for other venues to put it on as well.
Oh, awesome. And of course, everybody be able to see you at the next book festival.
Right.
Woohoo. Thank you so much, Monica. Hang out. And at the end, we'll answer some questions from
Okay.
the audience. Thank
All right.
you, thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
Our next author is Dr. Dwayne Shiggs. Dr. Dwayne Shiggs. There we go. Good evening.
Hello. How are you, Ginger?
I'm wonderful. Tell us about you.
I am just a regular guy who grew up with some low self-esteem issues. Just a regular guy that's trying to do some great things. And I tell people I'm Cheryl's husband, Marcus's father, Crystal, Amaya, Maxie, and Malcolm's pawpaw. That's who I am.
Oh, that's wonderful. So are they your why? Are they what inspire you?
In a sense, they are what inspires me. I write to give people the push that I know people like me need a push. And so the push to do what you can do. So my why is to strengthen people, to impart and empower, but not just to motivate, because a lot of times we have people that give you the big rah-rah, get you all up in the sky with excitement, but when you come down, they don't tell you what to do. So I want to give you some direction, some inspiration, and some transportation to get to your destination.
Awesome. I love that. Have recent events, political, social, or pandemic, affected your writing?
Indirectly, they've affected my writing. They've affected certain things because we can't do book signings and things of that nature. But one of the things it has done, it has enhanced and increased the need for the type of writing I do. I inspire people, I encourage people. And so there's a greater need for that, a greater need to let people know that you can still make it. There's a chapter in my latest book called I'm Still Going to Make It. And so these circumstances have done that, but also they've pushed me to creativity in terms of ways of getting the inspiration and the information out. So it's a negative thing, but it has affected me in a positive way.
That's good. I'm still going to make it. We all need that message right now, because I think that being at home, just the state of just things, of stuff,
Right.
Elections and the nastiness on television and the nastiness on social media, people losing their jobs, all of that has affected people at large. And then you, as writers, I think that we have a unique responsibility. What do you think?
I would say so, a responsibility to share, to show, a responsibility to help shift people's attitude, shift their viewpoint, because with all the different things that are going on, shift it to the possibilities. I have people in my life that are called pictures of possibilities. My daddy was the greatest man I've ever known. He's been gone like 10 years and I still miss him. But my daddy was a picture of possibility with all the things that he's done. And so our writing, in my case, because of the genre that I write in, have a responsibility to show people another way, show people a better way, show them what can happen.
Okay. Why is it important for people to know that you're an African American writer?
Partly for what I just said, to show that it's possible, that you can do something out of the box. You can do some things. It was possible. It was necessary for people to know who Oscar Micheaux was, so that there would be a Spike Lee, a Tyler Perry, a Tim Reed. There's possible for people to know. I mean, it was necessary for people to know who John Johnson was, so that there would be an Earl Graves, there would be other people, and a Dwayne Shiggs. And so
Yes.
it's important for people to know that people that look like you and me, they will tell you that you can't do some things, but you see that you can.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the whole point of the festival, isn't it? That aspiring writers see somebody that look like them. Because it's easy to say, oh yes, Maya Angelou is my favorite writer. She's written all these books. But if you had met Maya Angelou.
Right. And what the festival, when I came to it, one of the things that it did and it does, it shows you that there are other people that are crazy like you, crazy enough to believe that you can do this, crazy enough
Yes.
to believe that somebody will be helped, somebody will buy the book, crazy enough to believe that somebody will have you talk to them about the book. So that's what the festival did. It brought about an opportunity, and an opportunity to see and meet other people and be inspired also.
That's good. What message would you give to 12-year-old aspiring Dr. Dwayne?
I would give that because 12 years old was a crazy, interesting, you should mention that, a crazy time for me, around 7th grade, person with already having issues of low self-esteem. So the junior high school I was in, someone decided that they wanted to move me out of my regular class and put me in the slow class. And so somebody that already has low self-esteem, you can imagine what that did. And so thankful for my parents, thankful for my mother who handled it. She called the superintendent of school, and I always wondered, how did she get his number? But the fact that she worked for the Department of Defense probably didn't hurt. But I would tell the 12-year-old, the younger self, that you can do it. Stop waiting. There's a chapter in my book, Go Get It, called Stop Waiting and Start Creating. Stop waiting for everything to work out. Stop waiting for everybody to come on board, and just go get it. You know, there's an old song by James Brown that says, I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open the door. I'll get it myself. And so I would tell the 12-year-old Dwayne Shiggs to go get it. You can do it.
Okay, I want you to look into the camera, and I want you to tell little boys, little Black boys who find themselves in that same place where society has said, you're not smart enough, you're not clever enough, you're not strong enough, and it has held them down. I want you to speak to them now and tell us what the message is for them.
The message is the fact that people say you can't. There's a t-shirt that I have, one of the quotes in my book, that says, just because they don't see it doesn't mean you can't be it. And I want you to know that you can, because John Johnson, publisher of Ebony magazine, he was somebody that they said, you can't do that. And so Muhammad Ali was somebody that says, well, if you don't do what we want you to do, you can't do that. Tyler Perry, Spike Lee, Dwayne Shiggs, people have said, you can't do that. But guess what? You've seen Spike Lee's movies. You've seen Tyler Perry's movies. John Johnson published magazines and owned a radio station. So just because they said he couldn't doesn't mean he can't, because he did. And the same thing I would tell young 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 15-year-old guy, that society says, you just shut up and dribble. Society says you can't do that because you're from the hood. Society says you can't, but you can do it, because I have a saying that I tell people, if it has been done, that means it can be done. So it has been done. People from the hood have made good. They've become doctors. They've become lawyers. They've overcome. And guess what? You can too.
Ashe. I love that. Thank you. Amen. Where can we find your books?
You can find my book, especially the latest one. The latest one is called Encouragements for Tough Times. And I often tell people that sometimes people need a breath mint, but sometimes they need an encouragement. One is for your mouth and the other one's for your mind. So you can buy the book. You can get it on Amazon.com. No problem. Just go to Amazon.com. In the search, just put in my name, Dwayne Shiggs, or you can just put in my last name, Shiggs. You won't get confused. There's only 3 authors on there, me, my brother, and my cousin. So you won't get confused. Just put in Shiggs and you'll be all right. You can even buy one of their books. I won't get mad before you buy mine. I just make them give me a cut of it. That's all. But no problem. You can go to Amazon.com, and if you want to contact me or follow me, you can reach me at drshiggs@gmail.com or YouTube, Dwayne Shiggs Encouragement, YouTube, or Instagram, Encourage Man, the letter N, Courage Man.
That's awesome. Thank you. Can you read us a little excerpt from one of your books?
Oh, sure. I'll read, the section is called I Can't Sing. During difficult times, there are a lot of emotions and things going through your head. There are a lot of things to deal with at times like this. One of the most dangerous and harmful things to say is, I can't, because it hinders hope. It paralyzes possibilities. Now, there may be some things that you can't do physically. There are some things you aren't able to do. For example, I can't sing. I can't do brain surgery, but there's so many more things that I can do. I can write books that help people change their lives. I can have workshops and seminars that help people go after their goals and live their dreams. Those are the things that I will focus on, and the fact that I don't have the ability to sing does not hinder my dream. I can sing to my wife, and she likes it, not because it sounds good, but she's still in love with me after 38 years. There are so many things that you can do, so make the focus on them. You want to have better health. You may not be able to go to the gym, but you can exercise. You can eat better. You want to be an author? You can start writing the book right now. You can go to school. There are so many things that you can do. So let's focus on what you can do and not so much on what you can't do.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for participating with us today. And we'll see you at the book festival, and hang out to the end for Q&A. Again, if the audience has any questions, pop them in the Q&A. You can just click it on the bottom of your screen, and we'll address the authors at the end. Our next author, so we've had 2 nonfiction authors, and now we have our poet. So our next author is James Coates. James, come on and introduce yourself.
Hi, Ginger. Hi, everyone out there watching. So I am a writer, poet, and spoken word author, spoken word artist from Southern California. I have a passion for all things creative, and I started writing when I was pretty young, about 9 or 10. And I started writing poetry in middle school. After I got out of high school, I took some time off, but I was in college from writing. And about 5 years ago, I picked up the pen and started writing again, with the serious intent of sharing that poetry with the world and performing it. So now you can find me Zooming open mics throughout California, or sharing posts on my Instagram at Mr. Loving Words.
Awesome. You have been very active during the pandemic. I've been seeing your posts. I've been seeing you recite your poetry. You've been doing it. And I think, because I'm a poet too, and I think that this time has lent itself to poets in a big way. Our voices are loud right now. So tell us, how have recent events, political, social, and pandemic, affected your poetry?
Well, it's I have been writing a lot, and politically, the climate that really got me back 5 years ago was something I felt like I needed to write and discuss about. And so it was initially how I got started. And then I started talking about more social justice related poems and events going on. But currently during this pandemic, I've been trying to make lemonade out of the lemons. And so what it has allowed for me to do is to connect with poets and the poetry community, not just locally and throughout Southern California, but poets around the world. So every day there's new opportunities to go to an open mic and share what I've written. And there's workshops to go to that can help me write new poems. And so it's really been like a renaissance for me. And I think for most poets, first figuring out how to adapt and then using everything going on as inspiration for poems.
That's awesome. What does your voice mean?
Voice. So for me, I feel like the message is your sunlight and your voice is the lens. And so when we think about like sunlight, going through a lens, it can be warm and enjoyable, or it can be searing depending on how intense you are about delivering that message. And so I view our voice as a platform. We all have access to share our unique voice based on our experience. And we should use it to make the world a better place. And that doesn't necessarily start on stage or on the page, but we can start with our parents or our uncle or people at work or our friends. We can use our voice at any time. And it's important that we do, but we also have to remember that we have to do the work on ourselves to be more loving and listen to other people's voices as well.
Your Instagram is Mr. Loving Words, but I think that society sometimes see poets as activists. Do you see yourself as an activist for love?
That is a great term, activist for love. I do. I believe that love is a motivator and a driving force for making the world around us a better place. And I'm currently working on how do we find the intersection of these systems that have been built to oppress socially, politically. How do we dismantle them? And I feel like the way through that is through love and understanding. And poetry offers a unique ability to connect us through our shared challenges and struggles and experiences. And so I think poetry is a great vehicle for activism and artivism.
Yes. What I love about poetry is the brevity of it. So there's people who will not read a book. They are not gonna commit themselves to 300, 400, 500 pages, but they will commit themselves to 2 or 3 pages of poetry, right? So when we as poets, I think there is a unique connection to the reader and a unique connection to other poets. What message do you have for aspiring poets?
For aspiring poets, I would say trust yourself, trust the process. When you decide you want to be a writer and you write something down, then you're a writer. At that point, you have to decide how good of a writer you want to be. And that depends on you putting in the work. So if you want to be a fantastic writer, then you have to read other fantastic writers and you have to write daily. It's like a muscle you build. And so the more you do that, the more your ability and skills are going to improve. If you're not inspired, reading helps to think of new ideas and share them with whoever you can. And in fact, I would encourage aspiring writers to build community and to get involved in community, because that's another important element. Being able to help uplift others and being part of a community that challenges you to be better. And so currently in the pandemic, I've found such welcoming communities that have really pushed my poetry to the next level.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's another unique thing about poetry is community. It's different because I write all different genre. And I'm a poet first, and I found that that community is different. And then it's not different like we're different, like, you know, different, but it is different. It is a different kind of community. Tell us where we can get your book, and then if you would read something for us, please.
Yes, poets are a very special community. They have a unique way of being. So you can find my book on Amazon. I have two. My most recent one is All the Ways You Are Wonderful, and it is a book that is full of poems that were inspired by women, and so it's very it appreciates how much they bring into the world, and I don't know if we give them their flowers enough. And so this is me giving them their flowers. And I had the way it came about was I was doing a reading, and women kept asking me, "Is that in your book? Is that in your book?" And it wasn't. The poems weren't in my first book, and so I was like, I need to put together a book for these women that want to hear these poems. So I will read you guys, all of you, a poem out of the book. And the poem I want to read is titled Originality. I have a secret. I want to stand up, tall and proud. I want to be loud, to walk into a room and people take note. I want to laugh and joke, to be funny and fun, borderline over the top. I want people to remember me long after I leave, days, months, maybe even years later. I want my professors to remember my name when they see me walking down the hall the next semester, but no one does. There's nothing uniquely different in me than found in anyone else. I don't stand out. In fact, I'm absorbed into the walls, camouflaged by the decor, a chameleon of normalcy, lime jello from the hospital cafeteria of life. It's surprising if anyone ever sees me at all. Maybe invisibility is my superpower, but I don't feel like a hero, more so a villain stealing the potential for something more. I want other people to see all that I am inside, this incredible person that conformity has silenced. The boisterous excitement of childlike exploration, wonder, and curiosity pumping through my mind that has been jailed by expectation, tied down with layers of ego sanctioned by approval. How can I find myself again? When I look in the mirror, that's not who I see. I'm unrecognizable. I feel as if I'm disappearing soon. It will be too late. I will be gone. A mindless drone wandering aimlessly into the eons. I want to be memorable, damn it. That is to say, I want to feel special. I need to feel some affection. Am I not worthy of the same love as everyone else? Then why do I dread the guilt of asking for it? Because that's not what good boys do. Good boys follow the rules, color inside the lines, are humble, quiet, obedient, mind-numbingly dull, a duplicate of a replica of a fake. So instead of standing out, I wield my pen like a weapon, my words, the voice of revolution blaring in protesters' megaphones. anything to keep me from forgetting the light I have inside me, that I am meant to shine, destined for great things, born to live and die as myself and no one else. Oh, please don't forget me, that I existed, that you exist. Otherwise, what is the point of it all? Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Now I gotta give it up though. Thank you so much. Stick around to the end. Audience, if you have your questions, put them down there. We're gonna have opportunity at the end to ask everybody questions. Make sure you type them in the Q&A. Our next author is Omobola Imoilisi. I hope I'm saying your name right. Come on and introduce yourself and tell everybody how to say your name, girl.
It is Omobola Imoilisi.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, tell us about yourself.
So my name is Omobola Imoilisi, but I actually write under the name Simisayo Brownstone. I'm a mother of two. I live in Los Angeles. I was actually born and raised in Nigeria, and I moved to California maybe about 15 years ago. And so I'm settled here with my kids and my husband. And today I run a company that sells toys and books for kids with a pinch of African influence.
I love it. So what inspires you to write books?
Well, as I mentioned, I was born and raised in Nigeria, and growing up, everybody looks like me, right? So like you're surrounded by people that look like you all the time, but yet we relied on a lot of foreign things. So none of the toys we played with looked like us. None of the books we read had characters that looked like us. It was just all foreign. And it all was fine at the time, because at the end of the day, everybody, even though you were reading books with foreign characters, it didn't matter because you were surrounded by people that look like you. All your role models in real life were people that look, your teachers were people that looks like you, and so on and so forth. But when I moved to America, that was when I kind of realized the gravity of being, a Black woman. Before, it never occurred to me. I viewed myself more as from my tribe versus as a Black woman. And when I moved to America, then I was like, oh, wow, I am a Black woman. And I had my two daughters here, and I see them going through struggles that I didn't have to go through when I was younger. And so that was really what spurred me on, because I was like, they just need that more representation to reassure them, to encourage them. Because like when you just see those examples, I think like all the other authors have mentioned, like when you just see other people doing things and you see yourself represented, it just does something really powerful to you. And so having gone through that experience and seeing my daughters having a different experience from me, I was just inspired and motivated. I was like, I'm going to do this. And that's what inspires me to write today.
The self-realization, I think, because I've never been to Africa. I've only been in America, and I'm inundated with white culture all the time. When I was younger, when I was in college, we would watch TV and you would never see yourself mirrored in the television. And you're right, seeing yourself represented is powerful, and it does make a difference. That is incredible. And as a Black American, you don't always think about, what are the challenges for our sisters and brothers in Africa? What is their life like on that continent? Mm-hmm. And then we have these unique opportunities to talk to somebody who lived that experience, who grew up there, who that is your culture. And then you come here and see how very differently we live. You know, I don't think I had an African American teacher until maybe, oh gosh, probably college was my first, you know, I don't remember having a teacher that looked like me when I was in school. And then for you to say that everybody looked like you know, that's unique for us. That's different for us. Um, have recent events, political, social, and pandemic, affected your writing?
Um, it's affected my, I would say, my storytelling in a way, because before I was focused on just my books, and my books, even though they're a fantasy adventure series, I always try to incorporate a little bit of African folk tales and legends into the books somehow. And with the pandemic, I decided to make a whole series of storytelling just around African fairy tales and folk tales. And so I started a whole class where kids just come in, and we just travel around the continent of Africa, talking about different fairy tales and folk tales, and and tell them stories. And that is something that I probably would not have thought of to do if not for the pandemic. I mean, pandemic has hit me really hard, and it's been it's been very rough for me. But that, if I could pick one thing that came out of it that is, you know, a positive, just to put my positive hat on for a moment, that would be something that came out of it. And so I just shifted the way I was telling stories, and it's definitely really resonated with the kids. And like, even some adults are like, do you do a class for adults? And I'm like, okay, let me wrap my head around the kids first, and then we'll get to the adults. But so that's how it has impacted me. It's that storytelling piece.
Is your storytelling different in America than it is in Nigeria?
I don't think so. I mean, the way that we tell story, I mean, I do add a little bit more detail to the stories. Like a traditional folk tale might be a little bit short and you know, straight to the point. But when I tell the stories, I add a little bit more detail and a little more drama, I guess you would say. And I do, I mean, I do also believe that, you know, maybe the angle I tell my stories, if I think about my book, the angle in which I take with my book is something that I believe is unique. It just, in the sense that we don't really see a lot of, you know, fantasy books with, you know, Black characters, like a Black lead. And like I said, when I was growing up, it was like non-existent, but it didn't matter then, because like everybody, like I said, looked like me. But now it matters more to me to have that representation.
What does your voice mean?
I think my voice to me means diversity within diversity, if that makes sense. There is a very popular Nigerian author who did this talk about the danger of a single story. And she was saying how if we keep repeating very similar stories, and she was talking specifically about African stories, but if you keep repeating the same stories, you're going to start painting a group of people with in a certain light. You're going to see them a certain way just because you're always seeing the same kinds of stories, or in the same genres and things like that. So I think my voice brings a little bit of difference to what is there. So there's a little more diversity within the diversity to show an angle that we don't always see, and bring something fresh and new, because I think that there's so much that we have to offer. You know, Black people across the world, across the diaspora, like there's so much we have to offer. There's so many stories that we have not yet been able to tell. And so I just feel like that that's what my voice represents, that's my voice, and just taking that leap and trying something different.
You are a children's book author.
Mm-hmm.
What message do you have for aspiring children's book authors? And then I want you to tell me about your illustrator.
Children's books, well, I would say just go for it. I would say don't be afraid to take risks, and don't be afraid to take that first step and just get into it. There's a lot to the businesses. Do you go self-publish? Do you publish by yourself? How do you find an illustrator, and all of those kinds of things? But I think that you just do your research, lay out a plan, and just figure it out. And don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 10, right? Because like you are starting somewhere. You might see somebody who's doing all these great things, who's selling all these books, and you're thinking, oh, I can do that. Or maybe you're like, maybe I can't do that. Or you start and you're not quite getting it right there. But you know, different people have their different journeys, and it impacts everybody differently. So you don't really know the struggles and the journey behind somebody else's story. So really just focus and don't, you know, worry about what everybody else is doing so much. Learn from them for sure, but don't let that, you know, hold you back.
And your illustrator?
So my illustrator is actually all the way from the Ukraine. And so I sent out a job request out into the internet, and different people sent me back some samples. And I found this lady all the way in the Ukraine that helped me put together the illustrations. I will say it did take a few iterations, because, you know, she was from the Ukraine, and I don't think that she had drawn many people of color before. So like, you know, the first version I had to say, no, she's a Black girl, or no, she has braids in, or no, her nose is a little too thin, like widened a little bit. But we got there eventually. But yes, she's just a lady who is very talented, and she sent me her work, and I was like, okay, help me make this happen.
That's awesome. Okay, so tell us where we can find your book, and please read a short excerpt.
So you can find my book at my website, tennyandtayo.com, or you can find it on Amazon. It's also on Amazon, but either way is fine. So tennyandtayo.com or on Amazon. And if you just type in Faye Faye, that's the name of my book, you'll be able to find it. And, oh, let me read the excerpt. All right. Okay. So I'm going to read from a little in the middle of the book. So this book is about a girl who travels the world helping kids solve problems. And the premise of the book is there's a boy in England, and he hears a tale, an old Nigerian legend, and he believes that the legend is true and has come to life in his in his living room. It's actually an old legend that scared me when I was younger. So I kind of incorporated it and put it into the book. And so in the part I'm going to read to you, she is meeting this child for the first time who's called for help to help him figure out who this lady is who's come to take him away. All right, so here goes. My name is Faye Faye, Faye continues, but you can call me Faye. It's like saying the word fairy, but without the R. What's your name? My name is Tom, the boy replies slowly as he stares at Faye. Her wings are big and blue, her skin is the color of chocolate, and her eyes are large and deep coffee brown. She's wearing her hair braided in 2 buns on the top of her head, but a few braids fall down to the side of her face with red and gold beads dangling down the sides. She's also got an oddly shaped shell hanging down the middle of her forehead. It has a special purpose, but she'll tell Tom about that later, when the time is right. So nice to meet you, Tom. Faye reaches out her hand to shake his hand. She smiles wide from ear to ear. How can I help you today? Tom frowns and makes crinkles on his forehead. My friend Tunde told me about a woman who comes to take kids away if they open their eyes in the middle of the night after going to sleep. And when she walks, she makes the sound koi, koi, koi on the floor. They call her Madame Koi Koi. Oh dear, where does she take them? To a place with no fun or ice cream, Tom replies with a quiver in his voice. The horror, Faye gasps with both hands pressed against her cheek. Now I can't sleep, Tom continues. I just heard koi, koi, koi coming from the living room. I think Madame Koi Koi is talking to my mom and they are plotting to take away my ice cream forever.
Oh, I love it. When you read, it takes me back to childhood because I don't think I've had anyone read a book to me since I was a little girl. So I'm just like this the whole time you're reading. I love it. I love it. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. Our last author of the evening is James Harris. James, come on and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Before I get started, I want to thank Katie and Janine, as well as Ginger, for putting on this great event. I'm really excited to be here. Like I said, my name is James Harris. I'm a 30-year retiree from the Department of Corrections, law school grad. I teach at, I was teaching beginning Spanish at the Senior Center. I'm part of the CERT team, the Emergency Response Team here in the city. And I do a lot of workshops around the area, creative writing and things of that nature. And I also do it's called Unveiled series. And that's where I do actual presentations of African Americans and groups of African Americans that you may not have heard of, but have some great stories. So it's called Unveiled, shameless plug. And I'm married with my wife for 29 years, have 2 kids. And I'm just excited to be here.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for coming. I'm so excited about all of this. I think if you have come to an African American book festival, you know that I am like over the top excited all the time.
That's right. That's right.
This whole thing is amazing to me. James, what inspires you? What is your why?
You know, my why is I saw a need, because I write stories for children. And so when I'm thinking about, okay, what's happening in society, so I think about what message or what messages that they aren't getting. And so when you read my stories, Corey's Courtroom, it will have a theme and a message and a moral component to it that maybe kids aren't getting during this time. What you see is, this is Corey, and I'll tell you a quick little excerpt about him. He lives on a farm with his family. He wanted to be a judge like his father, but he didn't know how. So when he uses his vast imagination, it magically transforms into his courtroom, and the farm animals come and tell him their problem, and he tells them what to do, who should say, I'm sorry. And I bought some of his barnyard friends behind me. That's Bailiff Ben right there. That's his buddy. He tells them who's coming to court. His gavel, Sebastian, his magic spoon, he talks to them through in court. During court, and his barnyard book of rules that tells him about the case. And so my book deals with bullying, lying, cheating, stealing, all the things that kids actually deal with. And what Corey does, he teaches us simple morals and values using farm animals to resolve real world issues, and opens up a dialogue between a parent, a child, and teacher or student. Currently, it was being used before the pandemic in the elementary schools as a tool to help children understand some of the behaviors that they may be demonstrating. Because sometimes if you're speaking to a child, let's say bullying, a child is either being bullied, see somebody bullied, or they're a bullier. But if you're a parent speaking to a child, or even a teacher speaking to a student, they tend to be defensive, but they'll speak through animals. And you can actually have a conversation, and sometimes you have some difficult conversations with children if they're speaking it through a story.
Nice. You spoke about what was happening with your book before the pandemic. Well, first of all, is Corey's Courtroom your only book?
It's my first book. Actually, I'm working on a second Corey, because Corey takes place on the farm. So the next book, he will be off the farm. I think he's going international. And I'm working on 2 more books that have female leads.
Awesome. Has the pandemic, political, or social events affected your writing?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because as an adult, you see that everything that's going on around you. And so I always try to think, I know how I'm consuming the information, but how are children absorbing that same information? And so when I see the pandemic hit, I wrote a story, just wrote a story to help kids understand the importance of wash your hands, wear your mask, 6 feet distance. And then a story that I'm gonna probably read at the end, the unrest in the summer about the social injustice. I see now the protests. And so I was thinking, how are kids actually seeing the protests? I grew up in the 60s. And so I seen peaceful protests, but this wasn't a lot of protests you're seeing, not their fault, it's just turned violent. I want to understand that protesting is okay if you have a legitimate reason and to express your voice. And so during the pandemic and during the racial unrest, I just wrote a story that I think that would help kids understand it on their levels.
Nice. Why is it important that people know that you're an author of color?
Representation. Representation really matters, and it was spoken to earlier. I think about President Obama from his 8 years he's in office. There were some children that grew up that never knew anything other than an African American president, and now you have an African American vice president, and there's some children that may not know any other, but that you have an African American female, president. So I think representation matters. But the first part of the question, also, you said, why is it important that people know? Well, also other nationalities. I think it's important to know that there are actually a lot of great writers and excellent writers of color, of all colors. And I think about all the panel here, the distinguished panel, I really appreciate to be a part of them. And you hear just the different voices. And I think not only African Americans, but all races, all people should hear the voices of everybody and really get a true understanding of who they really are. Because I think if you can understand their voice, it's easier for you to communicate with them and just be a part of society.
Awesome. What message would you give, and I'm going to pick an age, what message would you give to the 17-year-old James Harris?
Oh, wow. 17, huh? I would tell him, 17-year-old James, that life is going to be a little difficult, a little hard, but never lose your imagination, never lose the fun in you, because you may go to some, try to navigate the vicissitudes of life, and they may tend to jaundice you a little bit, but always remember that there was a little 17-year-old in you that saw the world with open eyes, and just be ready to go and make a difference. And your voice matters. You are important. And basically, at the end of it, say when you start doubting yourself, just remember, you're enough. You are enough. And I think I'll just tell my 17-year-old James there, also get your hair cut and you maybe go bald, Yeah, I think
okay, so when you're at the festival, kids are really drawn to your booth because you have the actual courthouse, right? So the kids can get the whole experience. They're able to walk into Corey's courtroom.
Correct.
So when those kids come to your booth, what is the message that you give to those little kids, those 6, 7-year-olds that are just, big eyes and excited for what's going to happen?
And that's a great question, because a lot of their big eyes comes from they haven't seen or actually met an African American author up close, and especially a man writing children's books. And they're like, dude, you know, I've never seen anybody like you. And no one came to my classes, you know, where you at? Well, I grew up in Riverside, you know, and graduated in the whole 9 yards. So you can do this. And so they come and yeah, they see Corey and they ask me about the courtroom, because some has experience in courts and know about them. A lot of them haven't. And so I get a chance to explain to them how the judicial system kind of works and how they can be a part of it, and where you take your grievances if something's going on. When I did a mentoring program, and so a lot of times when I introduce my book to them, you know, Corey, and he's going to make a decision, I would actually have them make the decision. So to help them to understand that, you know, if someone's come to you, how do you make good decisions on things that people tell you? And so it works out pretty well. But yeah, they come wide-eyed, they like the animals. And yeah, Corey's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Tell us about where readers can get your books. And then if you would please read us a short excerpt.
Oh, okay. My book's on Amazon as well, or you can always contact me, and I'd love to give a signed copy, because I really like meeting people in person. You know, the book sales is fine on Amazon, but I really actually like meeting folks. So yeah, Amazon, just give me contact, and get the contact from Elandia. Okay, so this story is called "The Call is Justice for All." And so let me set the scene real quick. Okay, so Corey was at home, and he heard a crowd outside, and so they were protesting. All the animals were protesting, and so he didn't know what was going on. So he called everybody in. Okay, we're having court today. I gotta find out what's going on. So I'm gonna read a little excerpt from here and pick it up from. What happens is that Bailiff Ben, before court start, his tagline is, "Bring your problem to Judge Corey, no matter the size. Welcome to Corey's courtroom, where everyone please rise." And then the story opens up. All right, so I'll just skip to kind of halfway in the middle here. I think she's going to show a picture. I think Katie. Okay, this is Corey. He looked over the crowd and asked Bo, the black lab, to come forward. Bo walked past Bailiff Ben and handed him his sign. Corey said, "Bo, why are you protesting?" Bo said, we're protesting because not all animals on the farm are treated the same, and it's a shame. We protest because we want our farm to be the best. Your Honor, the problem is with the doves. They're in charge of handing out the pool toys, suntan lotions, towels, etc. at the farm pool. For years, when my lab friends and I come to pick up our floaties at the pool shack, the doves always give us the ones that are too small. I tell them they don't fit, but they give us the small ones anyways. When we complain, they don't listen. They only say, "We don't need one." Corey asked, "Why did they say that?" Bo said, "I don't know, but they told us that since we're Labradors, we're considered water dogs. Our webbed feet allows us to swim and stay afloat, so it doesn't matter if you get small ones. But Judge Corey, they give the large floaties to their geese friends that have webbed feet too. What's up with that? Under the barnyard law, we're all supposed to be treated equally." Judge Corey, just last week, Bruno, the brown lab, who is not a good swimmer, tried to use the small floaty anyways. Well, he fell off into the deep end of the pool and almost drowned. That was the last straw. So we decided to march and protest the unfair treatment by the doves. We just want to be treated fairly. Our labs matter, Judge Corey. Corey tapped Sebastian's magic spoon at the desk, thinking about what Bo said. He asked Kitty Litter to come up front. Kitty was a large tabby cat with orange and white stripes. She was carrying her sign in her paw. The sign read, "My 9 lives matter." He asked her, "Were you also denied large floaties?" Kitty said, "Heavens no. You know us cats hate water. All we like to do is lie on the beach and sunbathe. We only ask the doves for suntan lotion, but they only give us a little squirt. When we ask for more, they say, 'You have fur. You don't need all that lotion.' By the end of the day, we end up sunburned. I only have 9 lives, and I don't have any to waste. Our 9 lives matter too." And so it goes on, and Corey listened to everybody who's coming in, and so then he makes a ruling, and I just read this last part just to kind of get the what I try to leave the children with. So Corey said, this sounds like a case of equal protection is the right direction. This was the first time Corey walked in front of his crate. He wanted everyone to hear him clearly. He opened his Barnard Book of Rules to the page that spoke about protest. The book began to speak. Peaceful protest is not a fight. It's intended to make a wrong a right. Everyone should be treated the same. That should be everyone's aim. And so then he kind of talks to everybody, and then the last thing he leaves the kids with, and I always try to leave the kids, the children, with a message. And Corey just simply says, he told everybody before he left, the call is justice for all. We must build bridges, not walls. There's no issue too short or tall. We're all equal under the law. Court's adjourned.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's right on time too. Oh my gosh, there are so many layers in that. I love that.
Yeah, so I kind of skipped through. Go ahead. I'm
definitely
sorry.
A way that young children can understand. Definitely.
Because when I was writing my first book, at the time there were a lot of school shootings. Mm-hmm. And so I had a mother come up and ask me, can you help me? Have you written a story? Can you write a story about an active shooter? Because she was having a hard time explaining those type of things to her kids, those type of actions and what's going on in the kids. So I was like, active shooter, wow, okay. So I did, and so I made him an active spitball shooter. And so, so it's kind of like the run, hide, and fight. And so the illustration is, some kids are running, some kids are hiding, some kids are fighting, some kids aren't doing the right thing. So I get that chance, opportunity to actually speak to the kids and say, okay, what should you be doing during this emergency? And that spitball is better than, actually having a weapon, but it still speaks to their level, and it still shows them what to do in an emergency on their level without scaring them.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love that everybody's work has a message, that we're just not storytellers, but we're teachers and we're community leaders. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about the book festival is the diversity within our community, that we have poets and we have doctors and psychologists and children's book authors and fantasy writers and all of that. And it is bright and beautiful and wonderful, and it is surely an echo of what the Black community is. And I'm proud to be a part of the African American Book Festival Inland Empire. We have wonderful talent out here. I don't see any questions in the Q&A. If anybody has one, type it in. And I'm going to ask my authors to, we have about 10 minutes. So I'm going to ask everyone to give us last words. We'll start with Monica Woodruff. Last words. Unmute.
Always look for something new to do.
In a nutshell. Absolutely. I love it. All right. Dr. Shiggs.
Just encourage authors, dreamers, as I open up most of my videos, dreamers, doers, believers, and achievers. 3 things. Stop waiting for everybody to come on board. Stop waiting for everybody to give you a shot. Stop waiting for the right time, and start where you are. There's a quote attributed to, I believe it's Arthur Ashe, that says, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. So start writing, start going to the gym, start what you can, and stay focused. Stay focused on your goal. Stay focused on your dream. You know what your destination is. You know what's in your heart. So stay focused on that. And there's an inspiration quote from my latest book. It says, don't let problems and pests quench your quest to secure your success. So that's what I would say.
Beautiful. Thank you. James Coates, final words.
I would say that those that are wanting to be writers or authors, young and old, to dream and to imagine that it's still important to do that. I was born in low income Black boy in Los Angeles in the 80s, 5 of 7 children. Statistically, I should probably not be alive or in jail, but here I am, MBA grad, 3 degrees, authored 2 books, working on my 3rd. So it is possible, you know, we need to dream, but then once we do that, we need to get to work.
Thank you. Omobola.
I would say I try to live by this motto, is just do it, the kind of Nike motto, to just do it. I feel like you're trying to get something done. Think about what you need to do to get there, rather than what is stopping you from getting to your goal. So just think positive, think about what you need to do to get there. If it's writing, if it's working out, if it's eating healthy, just figure out what are the steps I need to take to make this happen, and don't focus on why you can't do it. So just do it.
Awesome. I have 2 questions in the Q&A, and I'm gonna have you guys do this really quickly. You all inspire so many. This question is from Cindy Nessinger, I believe. You all inspire so many. What authors inspire you? So let's see, Katie, can you put us all on the screen?
I think we can do that. So let's see.
Oh, look, here we are. And Monica. All right. So what authors inspire you? We'll start with James.
James
Harris. I'm sorry, James Harris.
Oh, well, that's a good question. I read a lot of different stories, children's stories. So I mean, I read everything from Dr. Seuss to Baldwin. You know, it's not one author. I just read a lot of different things to bring into play.
Okay. Let's see, Dr. Shiggs. What author inspires you? Unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, and John Maxwell.
Nice. Okay. James Coates. What authors inspire you?
Authors of the past, Langston Hughes, and James Baldwin. Current authors, poetry, Jericho Brown, and Rudy Francisco.
Oh, all right. All right. I love Rudy Francisco too. Omobola.
These authors, you may not know them, but there's an author called Chimamanda Adichie. There's another one, Wole Soyinka, and another one, Chinua Achebe. So those are, really well-known authors, Nigerian authors. And like I said, just, those were some of the ones that I looked at. Chimamanda is a newer author, but the other 2, when I was growing up, they were very important in my literary journey.
Wonderful. Wow. You're gonna have to write those names down for us in the chat so we can look them up. Monica Woodruff.
Well, when I was little, Phyllis Wheatley used to actually be one of my famous poets that I used to love to read because we studied her in grade school. And James Baldwin, as a matter of fact, I have him right here. He's always have a book of his on my desk. He writes from the heart, he writes from the soul, he writes real stuff. And I've been reading James Baldwin since I was in 4th grade.
Wow, okay. Steve Butler wants to know, how many hours per day would you say you spend on your crafts? We'll start with Monica.
I can't say I do it every day. I have a certain days of the week that I sit down and I write. I don't write every day because I do have to work. So I would say every other day, about 2 hours.
Okay. That's good. That's a lot of writing. Mm-hmm. James Harris.
I usually spend about 2 to 3 hours a day, depending on the story and what I'm trying to get across. A lot of my inspiration comes at night. I'm better at night. I'm better at night, so I do a lot of writing when it's just quiet and thoughts come. So I don't have like a regimen, but I know that, okay, it's time for me to put everything to the side and kind of focus on just this, and then I kind of put it away. But when you're sleeping, you come with all kind of stuff. And I get up and write, put it down. So,
yes.
Yeah.
I remember there was, like, at the height of my writing, I would get something in my mind and I would keep paper and pen next to my bed, and I would just lean over onto the floor and in the dark, not even turn the light on, just scribble it down. I'll figure it out in the morning, because if I go back to sleep, it gets like absorbed into dreams.
That's right.
And so I have to get it out. And I would carry paper everywhere. Notes on napkins and receipts, everything. Dr. Shiggs, how much time do you spend on your writing?
I spend on an average about 4 or 5 hours a day. All of that is not necessarily writing, but it may be promoting what I've written. It may be working on a video about something that I've written, but I create every day. And as James Harris was talking, I found out that creativity is not convenient, because, you will be driving and a thought comes, or whatever the case may be. And so I spend about 4 or 5 hours on average every day on some aspect of my craft, writing, promoting a video that I'm shooting, and dealing with my wife that tells me, you got to get some rest sometimes. Stop working so hard.
Yes, that is a struggle. We have another question. Katie McClendon asks, as an author, what was the biggest obstacle you faced when writing or publishing your book? Omobola.
The biggest obstacle, I think starting not knowing what I was getting myself into was the biggest obstacle. Just starting from scratch. I've always had stories I wanted to tell, and I chose the self-publishing path, and that in itself has so many challenges, like the finances, the book formatting, the editing, the illustrations, like all of those. There's a lot of obstacles. So all of those were definitely obstacles in trying to get it done, because you're doing everything yourself and you're learning as you're doing it, versus having like a whole team of people who know exactly what they're doing and do it for you. So that was definitely a big obstacle for me.
Absolutely. James Coates, what obstacles did you face when publishing or writing?
Obstacles face, I would say this was something I wanted to do for a long time. So when I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to write a book, but it took 12 years to get done because I didn't have the know-how or the resources. And so it wasn't until I seen someone else in the community that had done it, knew the resources, knew how to get it done, and was able to kind of, point me in the right direction to make it happen. And then from there, it was just the process of okay, what's the first step? What's the next step? And trying to have the self-confidence and give it a doubt and just move forward with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. I want to thank Inlandia for having us. I want to thank Women Achieving Success for always supporting us. This has been wonderful. This has been a wonderful evening. Thank you guys for sitting with me and sharing about your books and about your craft. Go to Facebook and follow the African American Book Festival, IE, as soon as they say venues are open, calendars are ready. We will pick a date.
Yeah.
We will put it in stone and we will open up, bring the authors out, and you guys come out and you join us at the African American Book Festival, IE. The goal is to have the festival in Temecula as soon as we can. So like I said, I'm watching their website, I'm talking to their people. As soon as their calendar opens up, I promise. And thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting us.
Yeah.
You can catch this later on Inlandia. They're gonna post it on their website. They have Blacklandia. I'll let Katie tell you all of that stuff. And we'll see you soon. Katie, if you would close us out, please.
So I am here and let's see. So thank you, everyone. This, was really such a wonderful event. I'm happy to be able to support all of your wonderful books and your work as authors in this community. And I'm looking forward to when you can hold this festival in person. So until then, I did post the link to the festival's webpage or Facebook page. So please do follow it. This will be posted to Inlandia's YouTube page come, probably tomorrow or Monday at the latest. And, I just also want to say thank you to our funders. We're able to provide these programs in large part due to funding from the National Endowment for the Arts, as well as from the California Arts Council. And we hope you will join us here again next time. And until then, stay safe, and we will all see each other again in person soon.
Okay.
So have a good night.
Bye, everybody. It's
Bye.
to meet
Thank you.
Nice to meet everyone. Great
Thank
job.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.